Some company in blah blah studios presents a production in association with my last that gave its life somewhere in the minute it took to start this damn movie.
Old man yells at cloud.
One of the reasons I'm not allowed to watch a kid's movie in the theater is because I want to yell out, "Where's this How does he pee?"
Old man asks, where's the penis in a children's movie?
Man, these CGI birds sure take me out of the realism of a movie about a yellow squirrel that talks like Ryan Reynolds, who used to be a police detective that only one person in the whole world understands, and he and that guy team up to investigate the disappearance of his partner.
First of all, Pikachu isn't a squirrel, nor is he based on one. He's the mouse Pokemon. And second, recognizing the CGI as a small nitpick in the grand scheme of this fantasy movie, CinemaSins would be excellent at the Birdman.
Water type is not right for you, neither is fire type, but Cubone is lonely. Exactly!
Wait, Cubone's type is lonely? So as far as types go, we have fire, water, and lonely?
I feel like I'm going to spend this entire video explaining various aspects of Pokemon. Anyway, Tim, whose mother passed away and is estranged from his father, is lonely. Cubone is a ground type, but just as Pikachu is the mouse Pokemon, Cubone is the lonely Pokemon, as its mother dies and it wears her skull to remember her. Yeah, Pokemon is more f***ed up than you thought.
But right now, the truth is in my hands.
What an odd name for a spherical sex toy. That's what that is, right?
A what? Either you or your wife has a hallway if you think that's a sex toy.
Not everyone can pull off wearing the skull of their dead relative, but you sure can. Okay, he didn't like that.
If capturing a Pokemon requires two things, capturing it in a ball and earning its acceptance, then shouldn't the acceptance part be immediately apparent? Do you often bond with a Pokemon who clearly hates you and it changes its feelings once it's captured? Even if that's something that happens, that's f***ed up in a sin.
3 things. 1. You can absolutely capture a Pokemon just by throwing a ball. 2. Yes, even if it doesn't want to get captured, it will begin to change its feelings after being with you for a period of time. This is demonstrated in the video games and the anime, most notably Ash's Charizard. And 3. Pronouncing Pokemon as Pokemon throughout this entire video. That's worth these many sins.
I'm assuming that once Tim got the call about his dad, he hopped on the first train to Rhyme City he could find. So I'm wondering how this newspaper with a story about his dad has already been written, which presumably would have been published this morning before Tim even found out about it. And yes, he's missed 5 calls about his dad's death, but that was because he was out Pokemon hunting, which was clearly after a day of work since he was wearing those business clothes. I'm not saying the movie definitely did anything wrong, but I think the worst in movies, so
what the heck is the point of this sin then? You have assumed that Tim hopped on the first train to Rhyme City, but you're forgetting that Tim is estranged from his father, meaning that an unspecified amount of time is likely to have passed here. Not only that, Tim is clearly wearing different clothes, meaning this is a different day, so there was definitely enough time for this paper to have been published.
Does this Lickitung belong to anyone?
Lickitung? Come on, man, most of these things have some pretty creative names. We're calling this thing by the exact thing it does, basically in English?
This is the naming convention for pretty much every single Pokemon that isn't using its Japanese name. I mean, there's a Pokemon named Ditto that can transform into anything it sees, and a rabbit-like Pokemon with the ability to dig with its ears named Diggersby. Diggersby, though?
One man changed all of this. Howard Clifford.
Convenient train video that will obviously pertain to the protagonist and his quest plays conveniently. This video about Rhyme City could have been about anything. Hot dining spots, things to do, but no, it talks about the primary antagonist and what he's all about because reasons.
There's nothing convenient about this. This video is the passenger announcement for anyone visiting Rhyme City, and since Howard is literally the person who built this city, you would think he'd be an important person to know about.
Fighting fires wouldn't be the same without their Squirtle partners.
Why do these firemen even need Squirtles on this job? It's a small fire in the middle of a street. This looks like an unnecessary use of Squirtle power, but they are the world's most fearsome firefighting team.
All the announcer on the program said was that the firefighters believe it wouldn't be the same without them, not that the Squirtles are absolutely necessary. Besides, in this screenshot, you can clearly see that the firemen are aiming their hose at something off-screen, meaning the fire could easily have been bigger than what you're seeing. I doubt firemen break out those heavy-ass hoses for a tiny fire, Jeremy.
Disco.
Pointing out things on the screen.
Every species of Pokemon looks identical amongst their own kind, so how would a missing sign help anyone find their missing partner? And even if this worked once, how would a trainer be able to tell it was their partner when all the Pokemon can do is say their own name over and over?
The answer to the first part of your question is obvious. A lost Pokemon would simply be wandering around, probably looking for its partner. And the answer to your second question is even more obvious than the first, so I'll answer it with a question. How would you know your dog is your dog? This becomes especially more obvious if we're talking about purebreds, which almost always look exactly like other dogs in its breed.
What a horrible place to live! This is a jewel-toned prismatic nightmare.
I don't know, the synthwave kind of makes it hot.
Still with the old detective movies.
Either Tim's dad put this movie on and it's miraculously still playing long after he left his apartment, or Tim is wrongfully bemoaning his dad's love of detective movies when it just happens to be playing on cable. Either way, it's probably a sin that the TV is even playing right now. And sure, we're going to find out Pikachu is here in a minute, and maybe he turned the TV on.
And let me stop you right there, because you have answered your own question, and I'm not interested in the bullshit you come up with after this to justify this sin. Next.
All I want to know is why I can't understand you.
Can't help you there, kid. Like I said, I have amnesia. Can't remember a darn thing.
Ah, yes, plot's perfect scapegoat named Amnesia. I'm going to take a guess that this movie is full of convenient forgetsies and perfectly timed remembersies.
This is a movie that is based on a game. In the Detective Pikachu game, Pikachu has lost its memory, so if the film is going to be faithful to the game, this has to be the case here as well. You'd know that if you did even the tiniest amount of research required to make these videos, but considering how your blithering, drooling audience will watch whatever you put out regardless, this is a sin for them as well, for enabling your lazy ass.
Also, yes, this communication thing is still a question the movie needs to answer, but I thought Tim believed it was because he breathed in that gas earlier.
It's me. It's that stuff that I put up my nose.
Because he said so.
Hold on, sure, he realizes it's the gas, but that doesn't answer his real question, which is, what is that gas and why does it have that effect?
I saw in the police report that he's
Just
dead.
because the cops say
It means
he's
that he's
dead.
legally dead.
Really? Did they find a body?
How would Tim know one way or another if they found a body? If the police report said he died, wouldn't you assume they found one?
Look, Jeremy, I get that this is a children's movie, which means it's very hard for you to keep up, but if you would just watch this scene for a few more seconds, the film justifies this line.
Did they find a body? Well, I didn't think so. And by the way, did that report also say that I'm dead? Because if I'm still alive and kicking, that means Harry's out there too. Case closed. It's not news if it can't be verified.
Breaking news! We have verified that anyone who wears sunglasses indoors is an asshole.
Jeremy just called countless blind people assholes.
He's saying you can shove it.
Unless Mr. Mime was saying to shove a can up your ass.
Okay.
This snarky charades makes no sense.
If it wasn't obvious by now, all 5 writers for CinemaSins are dummies. The can was not a noun, it was a verb, genius. Can, shove it. Get it?
Man, I know these Pokemon are supposed to be fantastical creatures, and they can look like anything they want, but this obvious CGI is making it very hard to buy in.
Are you suggesting that these made-up creatures don't look real? Do you actually think Loudred is a real thing and that there's some way to make them look realistic? What?
Are all the vials of R different strengths? Because the last time we saw one open, it billowed around the room, out a window, and around the corner to infect dozens of Apoms. This gaseous drug should be infecting every Pokemon in the immediate area, and I don't know why it doesn't.
It's clear that the person who owns this Charizard knows what the gas is and how to use it, so of course he'd know how to control the spread of the drug and prevent it from affecting other Pokemon.
Go for a critical hit! Use Volt Tackle!
Yeah, do the Volt Tackle! Gotta tell you guys, I feel like I'm watching The Wizard all over again. You remember that 100-minute Nintendo ad from 1989, where there was a
Skip!
Pikachu is absolutely exposed to the R-gas in this scene, but never goes bonkers, and if there's one thing I was hoping to see in this movie, it is Pikachu losing his adorable
In this scene, Pikachu is actually not exposed to the gas, as Charizard's wings are blowing it away. But even if he were exposed to the gas doesn't affect humans, and Pikachu is actually a human.
If I can see the Loudred's butthole in this shot, does that technically make this a Porkemon? Porkemon, detect, dive, peek to shoot?
This coming from the guy that thinks poop jokes are lazy. This is a base reflex, the vent that relieves air pressure inside of a speaker and allows the system to function more efficiently. Loudred is a sound Pokemon whose design is roughly based on speakers. See the ears?
What? That's not gonna work! Magikarp is the worst! Magikarp can evolve into Gyarados!
So, you know the powers of Magikarp, but you don't know how to use your own powers? Gotta tell you, your memory is a thing of convenience and inconvenience for whatever the story needs.
What? Knowing how to use your own powers and knowing about other beings are completely different things. Amnesia doesn't mean he doesn't know anything, as he clearly remembers some things. For a guy that laments amnesia in stories, you sure as hell don't know anything about it.
Water in the hole!
My cousin William is a Pokenut, and he tells me that this Magikarp better be level 20 because there's no way it could poof into a Gyarados. I'm sending William for knowing that.
Well, you said you're sending William, but you gave this sin to the film. Besides, Gyarados is a 23-year-old Pokemon and one of the original 151. Everyone should know about the best Pokemon in the world.
Well, that's a bad guy, Carl.
And yet you get into the car without a protest of any sort.
Well, I don't know about you, but if Suki Waterhouse motions for me to follow her while she's wearing pink latex, I'm getting in that goddamn car.
What is that?
Mewtwo.
Yeah, you are, but I'm not.
It's Greninja. They don't look right.
Detective Pikachu asks the question, what would a Resident Evil movie look like if we just put Pokemon characters into it?
It's apparent that Jeremy has never actually played a Pokemon game, as this kind of shit has been in those games since Generation 1.
Also, I'm sending my other cousin James for showing me this Pokecard and explaining that this creature uses its tongue for a scarf.
Don't you dare disrespect Greninja like that. Come on, it's a ninja frog that uses its long tongue as a scarf like Shinobi. That's incredibly clever.
What did that thing want with Harry?
Good question, kid. I'll try and take us back to the beginning.
Jesus, when did Pikachu become an expert at navigating this lamb's computer system? Is he secretly Lex from Jurassic Park?
Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the film cliche.
Good luck, Detective Goodman.
Good to see this out-of-this-world interactive hologram thing is following the movie's protocol of not showing the father's face. I guess they didn't have Ryan Reynolds around long enough to get him to make an appearance in anything except the ending.
Did you just say that they didn't have Ryan Reynolds around long enough in a movie where he voices the main character? Did I hear that right?
Holy did Lucy just pull this thing that was bolted to the floor straight out like she's the Scarlett Johansson Lucy?
Jeremy makes a pop culture reference.
It's okay, Sonic. Everything's fine.
He's gonna blow his stack, kid!
Why hasn't he already? The very first time those Pokemon got released from their cells back at the lab and all the other stuff after that should have made this nervous psychokinetic bomb explode already.
Psyduck's headaches have to build to a point where he cannot take it any longer before he can release his psychic energy. As an aside, this illustrates why I always suggest that the source material matters. Jeremy obviously doesn't know anything about Pokemon, but Pokemon is the second most popular video game franchise of all time, so this means that most people already know the answer to these questions. My problem is that Jeremy and his writers treat these questions as problems with the film because they don't know the answer, but to those of us who participate in the source material, the answer is obvious. This is how I feel whenever he sends a comic movie. The films would get seriously bogged down if they tried to explain every little detail that pops into Jeremy's mind. If you really want to know the answers to these questions, the source material is right there. It's 2019. Google has all the answers, Sway.
How is Pikachu able to keep up during this running sequence? Earlier he said,
Every step for you is 1,000 for me, and my lungs are the size of grapes.
and while clearly some of that is exaggeration, his point was that in order to keep up, Pikachu needs to be helped. Yet in these chase sequences, he's running just as fast as the humans and sometimes faster.
Pikachu is an electric Pokemon, and the vast majority of electric Pokemon are extremely fast. Pikachu is no exception. However, being fast has nothing to do with getting gas quickly or wanting to be carried. Hell, even the vaunted cheetah can't keep running at 70 miles per hour for more than a few hundred meters.
I've rewatched this scene and drawn a small diagram to better understand how these trees would be folding in on themselves due to the Torterra. As you can see, the second Torterra...
This is a sin for Jeremy's drawing skills. You see, this is why he does CinemaSins, and just like old Adolf, if we'd only nurtured his artistic talent, he wouldn't have killed countless people. And if you don't think CinemaSins has killed anyone, you clearly haven't heard future Birdman's voice.
I'd remove 1 billion sins if these Care Bear onion lizards didn't help Tim at all and just ate everybody.
Jeremy just called the first Pokemon a Care Bear onion lizard.
You disloyal, fool-ass, bitch-made punk.
Where's my father? What'd you do with him?
Luckily, since that convenient hologram technology isn't available, Mewtwo just happens to have the power to show people professionally shot and edited memories.
Mewtwo is a psychic Pokemon, probably the most powerful psychic Pokemon ever, although Deoxys gives it a run for its money. This means that it has psychokinetic abilities like telekinesis and, yes, the ability to wipe or restore memories as he does in this film. In the games, he literally has an attack called amnesia. This is Pokemon, son. Your bullshit, if it's convenient, tactics do not work here.
I know we're going to eventually find out what the hell happened, but Jesus, there are so many potential bad and good guys with so many potential motivations. It'd be nice to know if I should give a shit about Mewtwo being caught and put back into his containment sphere.
Mewtwo is a Pokemon that was created and tortured by humans its entire existence, which is obviously happening here.
Roger must have sent the Greninjas to cause the crash, which means Mewtwo was trying to protect us?
What a terrible detective Pikachu has revealed himself to be. That is a major leap to make, considering the multitude of other possibilities, including Mewtwo working with the Greninjas.
Considering this is exactly what happened, wouldn't this make Pikachu a great detective? Go home, CinemaSins, you're stupid.
Come on. No, that's not fair.
Why is that not fair? Don't you know that's just a copy of Lucy? Isn't this technically better than the thing Ditto turned into earlier?
Yeah, but would you want to punch your crush in the face?
Ditto seems unclear on the concept that he doesn't need to change into anything to make Tim fall off the building.
He? Ditto is genderless. See, you thought the concept of gender fluid began a few years ago, but the Pokemon Company has been on the ball for over 20 years.
I will undo what has been done.
Wow, just like that, huh? I'm honestly surprised that you ever got captured. I don't really even care what Howard invented to capture you. After seeing this, my guess is that it shouldn't have worked.
As powerful as Mewtwo is, he's still a Pokemon and still subject to capture. Hell, in my game, I even caught God himself in a regular Pokeball because I'm a beast like that.
Do you suppose, after the life-altering moment of being sucked into and pulled out of a Pokemon, that this man is finally asking himself the real important question of how the Charmander tail stays lit?
The flame on Zippo's tail is his life force. The fire that fire Pokemon can conjure is mystical in nature. No one really knows where the fire comes from, only that they can produce it. But I'm curious why this confounds you when earlier you had no problem with Squirtle conjuring water out of nowhere.
Let's never do that again.
Okay, I'll make sure that a wealthy megalomaniac doesn't capture Mewtwo and create a purple gas that makes other Pokemon insane, so that Mewtwo can fuse humans and Pokemon together. Good advice!
I know I already sent him for this, but hearing Pokemon over and over grinds my gear so much I'm giving him another 100 cents. I know you want to ask, hey Birdman, you padding the thing count, bro? And my answer is,
You're goddamn right.